Hello, I'm Barry Winbott, and this is Tinycast. What do you do when you're stumped by a challenge or when you find yourself with a dilemma for which you have no immediate explanation or answer? So often we resort to those common platitudes. It is what it is. Boys will be boys. A clash of personalities. And effectively, these, as I call them, thought-stopping cliches, stop us from thinking any further, stop us from doing anything about the problem or the issue, whatever it is. They give us an opt-out, an exit point. Yeah, all right, well, nobody's got a solution to this, so we can put it on one side and forget it. But you don't forget it because the problem is still there. Now, I came across this about 20 years ago in my work in organizations, and I thought of a personality clash, for example. It's a clash of personalities. People will often say that when a conflict between colleagues appears to be unresolvable. And I was a mediator at the time, dealing with conflict resolution in organizations, and I thought that was a real cop-out. I thought it was very lazy thinking, and it was letting the two protagonists, the two people in dispute, down, because an employer has a degree of responsibility to help sort these things out. In my view, after all, the employer has brought the people together. If it wasn't for their employment, they wouldn't be working together. So there's a degree of responsibility there. And dealing with that by saying it's a clash of personalities, I just thought was very lazy. And there are loads of others. But let's think about the advantages for a moment. It's quite handy sometimes to be able to park a problem with an explanation like, well, we've tried everything, it is what it is, or a clash of personalities, or don't overthink it, or that's just how things are done here. You know, these are common phrases and very handy because it gives you an opt-out at times and stops you struggling with the discomfort of knowing there's no solution or trying to struggle to find a solution. However, that's fine if you recognize it for what it is, but more often than not, we don't. We just trot these things out and sidestep the problem or the issue, the quandary. And this has a number of disadvantages. A, it stops us being creative. If you're in an organization and somebody says to you, well, that's how it's done around here, it's stifling creativity. It's stifling perhaps the power of the group to discuss a problem and find a way around it. And at the extreme of that line of thought, you could say it actually halts progress in an organization in some way or other. So these thought-stopping cliches are very powerful and can be very damaging. And I think that the disadvantages way outweigh the advantages. I thought this was an original thought when I thought about it 20 years ago or so, but then I came across Robert J. Lifton, his name is, in his book, Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism. And that was written in 1961, and he called them thought-terminating cliches. He goes into far more depth than I ever did, and it's a fascinating book. What I want to draw your attention to is the fact that when we use language carelessly like this, just because everybody else does, or because we picked it up, or because we're too lazy to think it through any further, then okay, if that's temporary, if it's just parking it for 24 hours or for a week or coming back to it later to resolve the issue or to try and find a solution. But if that's the end of it, if you've hit the buffers and there's really nowhere else to go with it, then beware. So this is why I say thought-terminating cliches or thought-stopping cliches, as I call them, are very dangerous. They're pernicious. They halt discussion. They stifle debate. But more importantly, as far as I'm concerned, they stop us thinking and exercising our cognitive muscles and skills, so to speak. So I'll leave you with that thought. What thought-stopping cliches do you use? When you use them, what do you do? Do you use it as a permanent kind of reason to park things? Or do you think, I'll come back to that later and think my way through it when I got more time? So this has been Tinycast. I'm Barry Winbott. If you found this interesting, please like, share or comment. You'll find more on this topic on my blog at barrywinbott.com. There's a link in the description, and there's also a link if you want to contact me with a question or a comment. Have a great day. All the best. Goodbye for now.